3 weeks ago, deep earthquakes were happening 385 miles beneath the Pacific, and nobody on the news was talking about it. Since then, a magnitude 7.0 struck near Borneo at 633 kilometers deep, 393 miles underground, deeper than anything recorded in months. In the last 72 hours, a coronal mass ejection has been heading directly toward Earth, expected arrival sometime between tonight and tomorrow morning. That weak spot in Earth's magnetic field, new data from ESA's swarm satellites just dropped, and it's worse than we thought. The South Atlantic Anomaly has expanded by half the size of continental Europe, and it's splitting into two. In the next 18 minutes at minute 5, why the Malaysia 7.0 is unlike anything else. At minute 9, the South Atlantic Anomaly and every satellite above your head. At minute 13, Comet MAPS now 34 days from the sun. At minute 16, what you need to do before April 4th. Let's go. Seismologist Kuo Kai Win, former director of Taiwan's Central Weather Administration Earthquake Monitoring Center, issued a public warning 2 days after the 7.0 hit Malaysia. His words, the world's recent lull in major earthquakes may have ended. And then, magnitude 7 events often precede magnitude 8 earthquakes. It's been 207 days since the last magnitude 8 quake worldwide. The average gap is 90 days. When the Earth goes quiet like this, it's not resting, it's loading. Most earthquakes happen in the top 70 kilometers of the crust where plates grind. Cities collapse and tsunamis form. This one was 633 kilometers down, inside the mantle. At that depth, rock shouldn't be able to break. The pressure is too extreme, like trying to snap heated taffy. It bends, it flows, it doesn't shatter. But something down there released energy equivalent to 22 nuclear bombs in a single instant. The mechanism is called mineral phase transition. Deep inside the subducting plate, olivine is crushed by extreme pressure until it suddenly transforms into a denser crystal structure. The volume collapses inward instantaneously like a building imploding, but underground. The energy doesn't crack outward like a normal earthquake. It implodes inward, then radiates upward. That's why there are no aftershocks. There's nothing left to slip. The silence is the signature of the event. In just 12 days, February 10th, magnitude 6.2 at Fiji, 511 kilometers deep. February 14th, magnitude 6.4 at Vanuatu, 608 kilometers. February 19th, magnitude 4.6 at Fiji, 590 kilometers. February 20th, magnitude 5.4 at Vanuatu, 608 kilometers. February 22nd, magnitude 7.0, Malaysia, Borneo, 633 kilometers deep. 5 significant deep earthquakes in 12 days, all in the same tectonic system, the Kermadec-Tonga Trench extending through the Philippine Sea Plate. This is the only region on Earth where earthquakes reach these depths. The Pacific Plate here doesn't subduct at an angle, it goes straight down, vertical, like an elevator shaft into Earth's interior. The subduction velocity here reaches 240 millimeters per year, the fastest plate convergence rate on the planet. More speed means more stress. More stress means more energy. And that energy has been building for 207 days. A research paper just published in Science Advances by Dr. Jenna Hill from the U.S. Geological Survey. Her team used autonomous underwater drones and tethered robots to map the seafloor and found something that changes how we understand earthquake timelines. Deep-sea mud layers called turbidites are deposits from underwater landslides. For the first time, scientists can now link these layers to specific earthquakes, and what they found about the Cascadia subduction zone concerns everyone on the West Coast. The last magnitude 9.0 at Cascadia was in 1700. Scientists now have a clearer window for when the next one hits the Pacific Northwest, and the deep western Pacific activity right now is connected through the same subduction system that reaches North America. If you live along the Ring of Fire, California, Oregon, Washington, Alaska, Hawaii, this is the week to review your emergency supplies. 72 hours of water minimum, 1 gallon per person per day, food, flashlight, batteries, medication. Know your building's seismic rating. Emergency managers in the Pacific Northwest say 2 weeks self-sufficient. That's how long before external aid reaches coastal communities. This isn't fear-mongering, this is what experts say. On February 25th, the Sun launched a coronal mass ejection directly at Earth AC 2.6 flare from active region 4379. NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center models show it arriving between late February 28th and early March 1st, right now. Over the past week, Earth's magnetic field has ranged from active to stormy. The KP index hit 5 multiple times, that's G1 geomagnetic storm level. Sunspot region 4366, the most active sunspot of the entire current solar cycle, fired more than 20 solar flares in 24 hours, including 4 X-class flares. One of them, an X8.1, was the strongest solar flare since October 2024. Dr. Arkady Spivak from the Institute of Earthquake Prediction Theory found that within 1 to 3 days of certain solar events hitting Earth's magnetic field, large earthquake frequency increases by a statistically significant margin. The Malaysia 7.0 happened within 48 hours of elevated geomagnetic activity. Correlation isn't causation, but the timing is noteworthy. Solar activity doesn't create earthquakes from nothing, but when a fault system is already loaded and ready, the electromagnetic squeeze from a solar storm might be enough to pull the trigger. Right now, CME arriving at Earth, deep earthquakes firing in the Pacific, 207 days without a magnitude 8, the South Atlantic Anomaly expanding, multiple systems loaded simultaneously. Researchers analyzed 11 years of magnetic field data from ESA's Swarm satellite constellation. Lead author, Professor Chris Finlay of Geomagnetism at Technical University of Denmark. His findings, published in Physics of the Earth and Planetary Interiors. The South Atlantic Anomaly has expanded by nearly half the size of continental Europe since 2014. And since 2020, a region southwest of Africa has been experiencing even faster magnetic weakening. The anomaly isn't just growing, it's developing internal structure. It's splitting into 2 distinct cells, 2 separate centers of minimum magnetic intensity. NASA confirmed this trend in their own monitoring. Every satellite carrying your GPS signal, your phone data, your bank transactions, the International Space Station all pass through this anomaly multiple times per day. Inside it, the magnetic field is so weak that satellites are exposed to elevated charged particles from the sun. This causes malfunctions, hardware damage, and temporary blackouts. NASA documented specific failures. The SpaceX CRS-1 Dragon experienced a transient problem. Japan's Hitomi X-ray telescope was destroyed. The Hubble Space Telescope shuts down its UV detectors every time it passes through. Professor Finlay explained normally we expect magnetic field lines coming out of Earth's core in the southern hemisphere. But beneath the South Atlantic Anomaly, the field doesn't emerge, it goes back into the core. These are called reverse flux patches. And one is moving westward over Africa right now. The eastern minimum inside the anomaly lost approximately 600 nanotesla of field strength between 2018 and 2025. The western minimum lost only about 200 nanotesla in the same period, 3 times faster weakening on the eastern side. Does this mean Earth's magnetic field is about to flip? Probably not. Professor Finlay was clear paleomagnetic records show the field has weakened many times before without reversing. We are more likely seeing a decade to century timescale fluctuation. But this weakening is happening while the sun is at peak activity. Solar cycle 25 reached its maximum between late 2024 and early 2026. More solar activity plus weaker magnetic shielding equals more radiation reaching lower altitudes in the South Atlantic region. Comet MAPS. This is the story that could become either the most beautiful astronomical event of your lifetime or something much more consequential. On January 13th, a team of French amateur astronomers discovered it in the Atacama Desert. Alain Maury, Georges Attard, Daniel Parrott, and Florian Signoret were running their near-Earth asteroid search program when they spotted a faint smudge of light. That smudge is now officially C/2026 A1 MAPS heading straight for the sun at 25 kilometers per second. It was detected farther from the sun than any Kreutz sungrazer ever recorded over 300 million kilometers out, beyond Earth's orbit and already visible at magnitude 18. That means one thing: this comet is large. Estimated diameter up to 2.4 kilometers roughly from Times Square to beyond Central Park. Most Kreutz sungrazers are city block sized and simply evaporate. MAPS has the mass to potentially survive perihelion, and perihelion is April 4th. The comet will pass just 160,000 kilometers from the sun's surface, less than half the Earth-Moon distance, well within the solar corona. For context, Comet Lovejoy in 2011 passed 140,000 kilometers from the surface and survived, becoming one of the most spectacular comets in decades. The Great Comet of 1843 passed 132,000 kilometers from the surface and was visible in broad daylight. If MAPS follows that trajectory and survives, it could reach magnitude -4 or brighter, several times brighter than the full moon, visible in the daytime sky next to the sun. Current brightness tracking shows MAPS behaving above average for its class. It's already showing a small tail and a diffuse green coma from diatomic carbon emission signs of an active, healthy comet. But here's the second scenario. If MAPS doesn't survive, if it fragments or impacts the sun, something violent could happen. Comet Lovejoy in 2011 triggered a significant CME on impact. MAPS is roughly 10 times larger. September 1859, the Carrington event. A coronal mass ejection slammed into Earth's magnetic field. Telegraph offices caught fire. Northern lights were seen as far south as Cuba. Compasses spun randomly. In 1859, the most advanced technology was a telegraph wire. Today, your GPS, your phone, your bank, every hospital, every power grid runs through electronics that didn't exist back then. A FEMA 2017 risk assessment estimated a Carrington-level event could take down the eastern seaboard power grid for 4 to 10 years. Does MAPS hitting the sun guarantee a Carrington-level event? Absolutely not. Comets hit the sun more often than you'd think, and most produce nothing. But MAPS is not most comets, and we genuinely don't know what will happen. Practical guide for the next 34 days through mid-March. MAPS is only visible from the southern hemisphere at magnitude 12 to 14. You'll need a good telescope. Late March. Look low in the western sky after sunset from anywhere in the U.S. Download Stellarium or Sky Safari free apps. Set an alert for April 3rd. Around April 4th at 1417 UTC. The comet reaches perihelion just 0.04 degrees from the center of the sun. Essentially behind it, then in front of it. The sun's disk is 0.5 degrees wide. The comet will be inside that width, if it survives. By April 5th to 10th, it will be visible in evening twilight. The head may have faded, but the tail could rise at a steep angle from the horizon spectacular. Venus will be nearby as a reference point in the western sky. Do not look directly at the sun to find the comet. Use the apps. Observing a comet this close to the sun without proper filters can damage your eyes permanently. Now let me show you the full picture. Since last video, a 7.0 deep earthquake struck Malaysia. The deep Pacific pattern has continued and intensified. 207 days without a magnitude 8. A CME is hitting Earth's magnetic field right now. The South Atlantic Anomaly has expanded by half the size of Europe and is splitting. A comet 2.4 kilometers wide is 34 days from the sun's surface. These are the facts. No interpretation added, just what the data says. None of this is reason to panic. All of this is reason to pay attention. The people who get through these events aren't the ones who panic or ignore. They're the ones who prepare. Review your emergency supplies. Know your evacuation route. Bookmark spaceweather.gov for real-time space weather alerts. Sign up for free email notifications when G3 or higher storms are forecast. Consider quality surge protectors for major electronics. And between now and April 4th, look up, because what happens in the next 34 days could be either the most beautiful sky show of your life or a story you'll tell your grandchildren about. Either way, you should be watching. The magnetic North Pole has been racing toward Siberia for decades. The strong field region over Canada has shrunk by the size of India. The one over Siberia has grown by the size of Greenland. This shift is affecting navigation systems worldwide, and it's connected to something happening deep in Earth's liquid outer core. That's the next video. If this changed how you think about what's happening around us, share it with someone you care about. Because the most dangerous thing in the world isn't what's underground, or in the sky, or weakening in the magnetic field. It's not knowing it's there.